Hello, good afternoon. How are you all doing? Welcome to all you lovely people that are joining. Happy Friday. Hope that you have been having a good week. A few people joining from around the world and right here in the UK. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Hi, Yogesh. Hi. So, how are we doing today? How are things going where you are? I say we've got a few people. We've got Singapore. Hi, Tom. We've got Netherlands. Hi, how are you doing? Yeah, a few people joining. So how is, I always start with the weather. That's such a British thing to do, isn't it? So how are things where you are? We've had some rain this week, which is most disconcerting. Just as we start to come out of lockdown, then the rain starts coming. Doesn't seem quite right, does it? But it's always the way. How is your week been going? How is your family? How is your business and your team? And what have you been working on? Do let me know. So I have had a great week actually. I've been running a few different events and workshops, and also having some calls with some people coming through my marketing funnel that I've mentioned to you before. So expect to see some new faces joining the group in the next few days. Talking of which, we've flown past 200 people in this group this week, which is really super exciting. A lot of people actually finding us online now and connecting with me and asking to join the community. I'm so thrilled that you're getting so much value from this. Do keep all your ideas and suggestions. I think we've had 2 people message today about future topics that they want to see covered in these Friday Lives. So do let me know what you would find valuable in terms of building your business, and what I can speak about that will most benefit you. So this week, hi AJ, hi Shell, nice to see you, and MJ, hi, how are you doing, and Paula, lots of people, it's all kind of going up through my screen, so lots and lots of people joining. I think that overwhelm is probably quite a topic that quite a lot of people want to talk about or want to hear about. It's obviously striking a nerve with lots of people joining. So how do you manage overwhelm and stop it from overtaking you? I think that overwhelm is something that we all struggle with. So many ideas, so many things to do, so many possibilities, and never ever enough time, right? So yeah, how do we manage it? And how do we plot a steady course? Steady sounds a bit boring, doesn't it? But you know what I mean. How do we plot that course for the long term as we build our businesses, and towards achieving everything that we want in our life as well as in our business? How do we actually do that? So this is a topic that comes out very often when I'm speaking with business owners and entrepreneurs, and many of you on this live I've had conversations with about overwhelm before. So maybe you're overwhelmed because you've got so much that you have to do. Maybe you're overwhelmed because you've got so many ideas and possibilities. Or maybe you're overwhelmed because you don't know which one to work on first, and how do you prioritise and which one do you pick? Or my personal favourite, maybe you're overwhelmed because you're giving yourself a hard time for not moving fast enough. So many different reasons why we get overwhelmed. So whatever the reason that you struggle with overwhelm, I think it's something that many entrepreneurs struggle with, and it is a real problem, which is why I wanted to address it today. One of my mentors once said to me, you don't have to experience everything, Lisa, you don't have to experience everything that your clients go through, and you don't have to suffer everything that they do. He was right, of course, when he said that to me, but this is actually an area that I feel like I have particular expertise and particular experience in. So I'm going to share with you today my 5-step strategy for dealing with overwhelm and for managing it and kind of keeping it under control. It's a 5-step strategy that I have to employ on quite a regular basis. I don't mind admitting to you all, overwhelm is definitely something that I struggle with, and I have learned to deal with and manage over the years. So I'm really interested to hear what your strategies are, and also hopefully these 5 steps will resonate with you and will be helpful for you. Okay, so I'm going to get straight into my 5-step strategy, and the first step to overcoming and managing overwhelm is to recognise it. Now, maybe that sounds a bit odd when I say that because, of course, you know when you're overwhelmed, right? We know that feeling. But actually, the reason that that is my first step is sometimes we're too busy even to recognise that we're overwhelmed. We're so focused on trying to push through and trying to get through that sometimes we don't actually necessarily recognise that we're even overwhelmed. So I think the first step definitely is to recognise and go, here is me feeling overwhelmed. If you don't do that, if you don't recognise it, the risk is that something bad will happen. And what I mean by that is that maybe you start to, maybe you drop something, maybe you miss something, maybe you hurt yourself, maybe you trip over and hurt your hand or your leg. That, in my experience, is your body and your mind trying to go, hello, I'm here, and you need to listen to me. Probably actually, it's been giving you maybe subtler signals to slow down and recognise what's going on, and maybe you haven't been listening. And so if what I say to people and what I say to myself is, if that starts happening, like if you drop something or if something goes wrong or you miss something or something's a bit out of character or you actually hurt yourself, that's a really good sign that actually you need to go, right, stop. I'm recognising that I'm overwhelmed, yeah? So very important first step to recognise it. So when you feel that overwhelm coming, just take a moment to acknowledge it. It might feel different for all of us. For me, it kind of feels like sort of cotton wool in my head, like I can't think straight, and that is my first indication when my brain feels a bit fuzzy and I feel like I feel confused and my brain just feels like cotton wool. So whatever that is for you, step one is just to recognise, okay, here am I feeling overwhelmed. That's step number one. Next step that I use is to just take a step away to kind of try to clear that feeling a little bit. So we're not talking about fixing it. Definitely don't try and fix. Don't try and fix it. Don't try and figure it out. But just take a step away from it. If you try and fix it at this point, it doesn't work. It's just you get more and more frustrated, or at least I do. You get more and more woolly if you try to fix it. So don't try to fix it. Just take a step away. And what I mean by that is when you feel that feeling of woolliness and overwhelm, certainly for me, if I try to fix it, it just gets more and more. So what I mean by taking a step away is go make yourself a cup of tea, go and take a walk, take a shower, get on the treadmill, run, just something to kind of clear your head and break that pattern, if you like. Jump up and down a few times, dance a bit, put on some loud music, shake it up a bit, do some jumping jacks, just change. The important thing is what we're talking about here is change your state, yeah? It does something obviously in our body, but then it does something in our mind. So you're just breaking that pattern, and that's a really important step. A lot of us, myself included, we want to go straight to fixing it. So you can't fix it until you've kind of broken it. So break that step first. And then once your head is a bit clearer, then you can move on to step three. You can try and start thinking about a solution. But before you do that, it's really important to try and figure out, why are you feeling overwhelmed? So do you have too much on? Are you trying to do something that's pushing you outside your comfort zone? Are you giving yourself a hard time? Do you need some help? And so at this point, I find it really, really helpful just to take a bit of a step back and ask myself, what am I trying to achieve here? I've spoken before about having that square on a piece of paper with one thing written, like, what is it that I'm actually trying to do here? What's the core thing? What's the most important thing? Because it's really easy to get distracted by all the small things, by all those myriad things that we all have to do in our business. Maybe little bits that bother you or little bits that make you go down a rabbit hole. And so it is important to recenter every now and then, go, what am I actually trying to do here? What am I doing and why am I doing it? It's also really important, especially for those of you that are maybe early on in your journey, or maybe even some that are a few years in. It's really important to be sure that you're doing what you want to be doing. Building a business is really tough, right? I don't need to tell you that. You'll need help from lots of different people, including me, but you've really got to want it. I can't want it for you, and nobody around you can want it for you. You've really got to want to do what you're doing. It's got to be a bit of a fire in your belly. And that is what will get you through the tough times. More than anything else, you've got to really want whatever it is that you're doing. If you're not sure what you want, then I would encourage you to check out my Ikigai tool. You can search Ikigai, that's I-K-I-G-A-I, or just ping me. It's a tool that the Japanese use. It's your reason for being, and it can help you get clear about what it is that you really want. So just ping me and I'll send it over to you, or you can search in the group. So trying to figure out why you're feeling overwhelmed, like what is it that's going on, is really important before you then jump into kind of solution mode. So once you've figured out then what you want, and crucially why you're feeling overwhelmed, then you can get to step 4, which is to take action, which is where most of us want to go straight away, right? We go overwhelm, fix. Well, that's certainly what I do. You've got to break the pattern and then figure out what it is that's making you feel overwhelmed, why it is that you're feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so once you've figured that out, now you can take action. So there's a number of different actions that you can take. Now might be the time to take some time off, yeah? So when was the last time that you took some time off to maybe do something silly, something fun, something creative, something different? Is it time just to take a bit of time out? If you can't take a whole day out, is it time to, as I say, just go for a walk, go for a run? So this is different now than what I told you about earlier on in terms of breaking the overwhelm. This is actually part of fixing it now. Maybe you just need a break. Maybe you're just getting a bit tired. And if you are tired and anxious, then you're probably not thinking straight and not making great decisions. So we've talked about decision fatigue before. The next thing to ask yourself is, do I need help? Now, this is a tricky one for many people, myself included. Maybe it is time to talk things through with somebody, get some advice or maybe some different perspective. What's the one thing that's really going to move the needle for you? What's that one thing that is really going to kind of change the game, as I say? And if you need help figuring this out, what that one thing is, please reach out to me and let's jump on a call. Let's help you get really clear about what is that one step that you need to take, that one thing that's going to move you forward. If you're doing too much, you know what I'm going to say, please get somebody in to help. Remember that your goal has to be to do only the bits in your business that you love, that put you in flow, where you add the most value, and delegate everything else. And I know that's a process, but just as soon as you can, that must be your goal in your business. If that's not your goal in your business, then you're definitely in the wrong group. You've got to be thinking about, what do I like doing? What puts me in my flow? And if you're doing a lot of things that put you out of your flow, you will be overwhelmed. And so the solution might be to start looking for that next person in your team, or maybe that first person in your team. And again, if you need help with that, you know where I am. So that's step number 4, which is the fixing the solution. And that, as I say, that might be you taking some time out, that might be you asking for help, that might be actually you getting somebody into your business to do some of those things that you're finding overwhelming and putting you outside your comfort zone. And finally, and really importantly, step 5, and this is the one that a lot of people miss also. Once that feeling of overwhelm has passed, so once you've got over that kind of emotional reaction and you've kind of moved on, then we come to step 5, and it's very important that we need to do this step 5 before the overwhelm comes again. And you know that it will, you know that it'll be back. And step 5 is really taking some time to reflect. So why did that happen? Why did I react like that? What can I do, not to stop it coming, because I think it's part of the natural process, but what can I do to manage it a little bit better? How can I deal with it a bit better? What can I put in place to make myself feel more organised, make myself feel more In control is a little bit of a tricky one, those of us that are control freaks, and I know I'm not the only one on this call. But what can I do what can I put in place to make myself at least feel a little bit more in control, a little bit more organised? Is it a system? Is it a person? And once you're clear of the overwhelm, it's much easier to think about those things. So definitely try to do that before the next wave comes. So they're my 5 steps. What do you think about that? What do you think about those 5 steps? How does that chime with you? How do you manage your own overwhelm? What I do want to say is overwhelm is definitely an emotion. It's not logical. So the reasons why you're feeling overwhelmed will be logical, those things that I've talked about before, but the feeling is a feeling, and so therefore it is not logical. And so what I would say to you is be kind to yourself. Please be kind to yourself. Don't give yourself a hard time for how you're feeling. Overwhelm is actually a natural part of the creative process. You know, sometimes we kind of have to break down to break through. So I don't know if you've had this experience, you know, sometimes you can find yourself getting really overwhelmed and frustrated, and then you get a breakthrough. Maybe you have a conversation with somebody, or maybe you watch a Facebook Live like this, or maybe you read something and you have that kind of aha moment, and then you break through and you make progress. So don't try to avoid overwhelm, but I would try to manage it, but definitely don't give yourself a hard time. Try to accept the overwhelm, maybe even try to welcome it as a part of that wonderful creative process. So that is my 5-step process. What do you think? What questions and comments do you have about overwhelm? I can see quite a few people are piping up. So Yogesh is asking me to send in the Ikigai guide. Yes, absolutely, I certainly will. And Miles has said that he got my book on Kindle. Oh, fantastic, Miles. I hope you enjoy it. And the Audible version is actually coming out in the next few weeks, so I'll let you know when that comes out. Thank you so much for all of your different comments. I want to wrap up today's live on overwhelm with a couple of quotes, as I do like to do. And the first one is from the author Timber Hawkeye. Now, I don't know about you, I love a good name. That is a good name. Timber Hawkeye is his name. And what he says is, you can't calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is to calm yourself. The storm will pass. And I love that, and that's something that I try to remind myself of. The next one is by a great coach called Jen Casey. And what she says is, the feeling of overwhelm is simply you experiencing growth. Instead of running away from those frustrations, run towards them and expand into a better leader. And I love that. And actually, that's just made me think of actually one of my absolutely favourite quotes, which is related, which is, everything you want is on the other side of fear. Everything you could possibly dream of or want is on the other side of whatever it is that you fear the most. So let me know your thoughts and your questions on this or any other topic. Do let me know what topics would in future be of value to you. Whatever you're doing on this weekend and whoever you're doing it with, I do wish you a very happy and peaceful time. And as always, if you want to talk, you know where I am. Take care, stay safe, and do keep in touch. Bye for now.